Percy noticed so far all the other guests he saw were a bunch of young women relaxing on lounge chairs. The lady led them into one building, and they walked into a big white room. Percy noticed a pet cage on a table filled with guinea pigs squealing so loud they were probably hungry. But then his attention was caught by the humming sound from a lady who was sitting in a corner weaving a glistening sheet. "It's beautiful," said Annabeth. The woman turned, and she was really beautiful with her black dress that matched her long hair. "You appreciate weaving, my dear?" the woman asked with a lovely voice. "Oh, yes, ma'am," said Annabeth. "My mother is—" She stopped herself. Another thing about being a demigod, you couldn't just go around telling people one of your parents was one of the Olympians. And if they knew your mom were Athena, the goddess who actually invented weaving, the wrong people would try to lock you in a rubber room. "You have good taste, my dear," the lady said, smiling. "I'm so glad you've come. My name is Circe." They introduced themselves, but then Circe looked over at Percy with a twinge of disapproval, as if he failed a test or something. Percy felt so bad for some reason and wanted to please the lady. "Oh dear, you do need my help," she said. "Hella, would you take Annabeth here and show her what we have available? She'll need a fresh change of clothes, and that hair, my goodness." "We'll do a full image consultation after I've spoken with this young man." "But what's wrong with my hair?" Annabeth asked, sounding hurt. Percy never seen her so lost for words before. "Oh, don't worry, we can approve anyone here at the spa," Circe said. "Hilla will show you what I mean. You, my dear, need to unlock your true self." "But what about Percy?" she asked. "Oh, definitely," Circe said. "Percy requires my personal attention. He'll need much more work than you." Normally, Percy would have gotten angry if someone spoke negatively about him, but when Circe did, he just felt sad. He realized he disappointed her and wanted to figure out how to do better. "Well," said Annabeth, "I guess—" "Right this way, dear," Hilla said, and Annabeth allowed herself to be led away, leaving Percy behind. Circe grabbed him and guided him to a mirror. "You see, Percy," she said, "you seriously need my help. To unlock your potential, the first step is admitting that you're not happy the way you are." Percy hated to think about his appearance. Part of him thought, who cares? But just by looking at himself in that mirror, it was hard to see any good part of himself. "There, there," Circe said. "How about we try this?" She snapped her fingers. And Percy's reflection in the mirror changed. "What do you see?" Circe asked. Percy couldn't believe his eyes. The real him was still the same, but in the mirror stood like a cooler version of himself. He had a confident smile, clean hair, a perfect tan, wore just the right clothes, and seemed a little taller. Percy thought to himself, "Whoa!" "Do you like it?" Circe asked. "Or shall we try a different—" "No," Percy said. That's amazing. Can you really—" "I can promise you a full makeover," she said. "So what's the catch here? Do I have to, take a special diet or something?" Percy asked. "Oh, it's quite easy," Circe said. She poured a red drink mix into a cup of water, and it looked like regular red punch juice when it faded. "I guarantee you'll see results immediately with this." "How's that possible with that?" Percy asked. "Why question it?" she said, laughing. "I mean, you do want to be perfect right away, don't you?" Something nagged in Percy's mind. "Why are there no guys at the spa?" he asked. "Oh, but there are," Circe assured him. "You'll meet them quite soon. Just try the mixture and you'll see." Percy looked into the mirror at the boy that wasn't him. "Now, Percy," Circe said, "the hardest part of the makeover process is giving up your control. You have to decide. Do you want to trust your own judgment about what you should be, or mine?" Percy's throat felt dry, and he heard himself say, "Your judgment." So he took the cup and lifted it to his lips. It tasted just as it looked, like red punch. Almost immediately, a warm feeling spread through his throat. Pleasant at first, but then, 1 second later, it felt like it was burning inside him. Feeling weak, he dropped the cup and fell to the floor. And then he was gone. No, he was shrunken. He shrunk so small he got buried under his clothes. Circe pulled him out and pointed him to the mirror. He turned into a guinea pig. "You see, Percy, you've unlocked your true self," she said. "Lovely, aren't you?" Percy screamed in horror, or more like squealed in horror. She hid his clothes under the sheet and threw him in the cage with the other rodents. "Men are pigs, Percy Jackson," she said. "Of course, I used to turn them into real pigs, but they were so smelly and large and difficult to keep. Guinea pigs are not so different, really, but they are much more confident and cute. There's always a class in need of a guinea pig. You'll be on your way tomorrow. Now, you can stay in that cage and behave, or I can feed you to the owls. Your roommates here might teach you some manners. Most of them have had their practice in this cage for at least 300 years. If you don't want to stay with them permanently, I suggest you—" "Hello, Miss Circe?" Annabeth called. Circe turned around just as Annabeth walked in with an ultimate makeover. Percy almost didn't recognize her. She was wearing a sleeveless white dress, and her blonde hair looked freshly washed. She looked good, really good. Percy probably would have been tongue-tied if only he could still talk. There was also something totally wrong about it. It just didn't seem like Annabeth, like she wasn't that kind of person who would try to look that glamorous. "Where's Percy?" she asked Circe. Percy tried squealing for help, but she looked like she didn't even notice. Circe smiled. "Oh, don't worry, my dear. He's just having one of our treatments. You look wonderful. How did you like the tour?" "Your library's amazing," said Annabeth. "Yes, indeed," Circe said. "The best knowledge of the past 3 millennia. Anything you want to study or want to be, it's all right there in my library." "Like an architect?" Annabeth asked. "An architect?" Circe chuckled. "My dear, like me, you have the makings of a sorceress." A sorceress?" "Oh yes, my dear," Circe said. She held up her hand and a flame appeared on her palm in the shape of a dancing figure. "My mother is Hecate, the goddess of magic," she said. "I know a daughter of Athena when I see one. You and I are not so different. We both seek knowledge and admire greatness. Neither of us need to stand in the shadow of men." I don't understand," said Annabeth. Again, Percy squealed at the top of his tiny lungs, trying to get Annabeth's attention. But she either couldn't hear him, or just didn't think the noises were important. "Stay with me," Circe said to Annabeth. "Stay here and join our staff, and soon you'll become a great sorceress and learn to bend others to your will. You shall be immortal." "But you're far too intelligent, my dear," Circe said. "You're much better than to trust that silly camp for heroes. The only way for women to have power is sorcery. Medea, Calypso, now they were powerful women. And me, of course, the greatest of them all." "What? No, you mean you're—" "Yes, my dear," she said. "I am Circe. But don't worry, I have no interest in hurting you." "What have you done with Percy?" "Oh, I only helped him realize his true form, of course." Annabeth must have finally snapped out of it, because right at that moment her attention was finally caught by the squealing from Guinea Percy. "Oh, forget about him, my dear," Circe said. "He'll be sent off to the kindergartners along with the rest. Meanwhile, you can join me and become another great sorceress. You could have all you've ever want. Annabeth looked in the cage and stared at Percy with a sad look. Could I just have a moment to say goodbye to him, please? She said to Circe. Oh, of course, my dear, Circe said. And just so you have some privacy. She closed the door behind her, leaving Annabeth alone with a cage of rodents. Okay, Percy, she said. Which one's you? Percy squealed, but all the other squealing guinea pigs just made things harder. Annabeth looked so desperate. She scanned the room until she spotted Percy's jeans sticking from under the sheet. Yes, she said. She ran over and stuck her hand in the pockets. His pen was still in there, and the multivitamins. She was about to open the bottle, but then Circe came back with her attendants. Well, 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 Circe sighed. Funny how just 1 minute passes. So, my dear, what will your answer be, then? This, said Annabeth. She poured the vitamins inside the cage, and bang! Percy and the other guinea pigs ate the vitamins, and they all magically changed back into humans. And somehow, with their clothes automatically put back on, so thank the Olympians, they didn't have to be seen with no clothes at all. No! Circe screamed. You don't understand! Those are the worst of men! The other men were all dressed like pirates, which was obvious. Annabeth looked at one with a long black beard that matched his leather outfit, as if he seemed familiar. It's Edward Teach, son of Ares, she said. Aye, lassie, the man said. Though most folk call me Blackbeard. Now, let's run this sorceress through once and for all. As the pirates chased Circe out the door, Annabeth tackled Percy with a hug. I'm so glad you're not a guinea pig, she said. Me too, Percy said. He hoped his face wasn't as red as it felt. Come on, Seaweed Brain, she said. Let's go while the witch is distracted. They ran out and headed back to the dock as the pirates fought the attendants. There! Annabeth shouted. She pointed to the sailing ship, which Percy now realized could only be Blackbeard's famous vessel, Queen Anne's Revenge. They knew the rowboat couldn't get them out of there fast enough, but a sailing ship would require a whole crew. But Percy knew what to do. After they climbed inside, he closed his eyes and concentrated on the waves rocking the ship and winds whistling in the air. They floated away from Circe's island and continued the quest, off to get the fleece, save Grover, and the rest of Camp Half-Blood.